Now we come to the final session of this symposium. I welcome Dr. Srinivas Jammalamadaka ji for agreeing to speak in this session. Thank you, Srinivas ji. Srinivas ji will be speaking on the topic Śrīharsha's refutation of opposition of existence and non-existence. Just a brief introduction. Dr. Srinivas Jammalamadaka ji has studied Nyāya-Shastra, Advaita Vedānta and Vyakarana under eminent gurus in Gurukula Paddhati. He has completed the Tenali exam in Tarkashastra and has appeared for the Tenali exams in Advaita Vedānta. He has completed his MPhil and PhD in Nyāya-Shastra. He has previously worked as assistant professor and served as the director of the School of Shastric Learning at Kavikulaguru Kalidasa Samskrita University. He is the co-founder of Sri Kameshwari Foundation, and he is currently working as director for IKS research in Brihat Education Trust. He has been conferred with many awards such as Tarkaratnam and Vidwan Mani by Sri Kanchi Shankaracharya, and titles such as Shastra Kalanidhi by Madhya Pradesh State Governor. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Dr. Srinivas. Please go ahead and start the session.
Thank you, Nitinji. Tuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashavarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvavighnopashantaye Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmiritin Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. First of all, I wish to thank Nagaraj Paturi Garu and Nitinji for taking up this task of arranging the symposium on Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya, a very kind of a work which all the scholars also look up to, and even thank Harikaranji for facilitating these kind of wonderful symposiums and giving me an opportunity to present a small topic from it. So I've taken the topic where I'll be talking about the refutation of the opposition of existence and non-existence. It is normally Virodhasya bhāva-bhāvayoho virodhatva khandanam is the title in Sanskritam. So this is one of the last topics. This is the last but one topic in Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya, where the definition of Virodha, that is opposition, is being refuted. So we all know as Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya is all about refutation. And so I just like to just bring in the concept of Uddesha Lakshana Pariksha and just identify that this kind of an approach it falls under the part of Pariksha. So the Nyaya Sutras were authored in the framework of Uddesha Lakshana Pariksha. So there will be an Uddesha Bhaga, Lakshana Bhaga and Pariksha Bhaga. So first you state the topic which you wish to explore, and then you define the topic, the subject of the topic, and then you validate the definition. So therefore it can be established. If there are any shortcomings, those can be rectified at the time of validation. So this is how the whole Nyaya Sutras were written. So here, interestingly, Śrīharṣa has taken this method to refute the Nyaya, the approach of Nyaya itself. So in itself, it's a beauty that he's using this Pariksha method, and that too specifically to the definitions. So normally Nyaya Shastra is famous for specificity, because every time whenever any small topic is we start exploring, we first start with the definition and then we validate that definition. We see what kind of fallacies such as ativyapti, avyapti or asambhava, that is over application, under application or non application, and see that whether the definition is perfect, which does not have all these fallacies, and serve the purpose of which we call it as vyavartaka. that is differentiating the definition from the others. So here, this topic actually arises after refuting the definition of samshaya, that is doubt. So the common definition of, general definition of doubt is ekadharmika viruddha nanadharma prakaraka jnanam samshaya. So in one visheshya, if there are two contradictory visheshanas or prakaras, that is the adjectives, then that knowledge is called as, is defined to be as samshaya. That is sthanaruvanava, parvataha vanhimanava, whether there is fire or not in the mountain. So in the mountain, there are two visheshanas, that is adjectives in this knowledge. That is vanhi and vanyabhava, the existence of vanhi and the non-existence of vanhi. That is fire. Fire and the non-existence of fire, these both are considered to be opposing subjects. So therefore, in that particular knowledge, there is one visheshya, that is parvata, and there are two visheshanas, that is fire and the non-existence of fire. So therefore, this knowledge is called as samshaya. So the refutation of the definition of samshaya was done previously. And then he starts to refute the definition of Virodha itself. That is the opposition of opposition. The definition of opposition itself is now being tested and being refuted. Yaccha swarupamadaya viruddharthatvam abhidhiyate tadapi nirvaktum na shakyate. So the whole definition of samshaya is dependent on the definition of opposition, because what is the difference between samshaya and the other kind of knowledge is samshaya has two entities in it which are opposing in nature. So that is fire and the non-existence of fire, they both are opposing in nature. So therefore, that's why we call it to be a samshaya. So therefore, the definition of samshaya is dependent on the definition of opposition. So now when something is defined in such a way that it appears to include its own opposite, that is the samshaya, then how to express it? What Śrīharṣa says is that it cannot be expressed or explained. Why? Because you need to define what is opposition or virodha. So I'll try to just take a few definitions as Purvapaksha and even explain how Śrīharṣa has refuted all those definitions of opposition or virodha. So the first definition comes to be saha anavasthanam tat tathahi bhāva tadabhāvayoho kaha virodha. So what is the opposition? How do you define the opposition between bhāva and abhāva? That is existence and non-existence. That is, if there is a pot, there is no pot, right? So there can be two things, that is pot and the non-existence of pot. So how do you understand or define the opposition of pot and its non-existence? If you say saha anavasthanam iti chetu, so virodha, saha anavasthanam virodha. So this is the first definition. That is, opposition is non-coexistence. Saha avasthanam means coexistence. Saha anavasthanam means non-coexistence. That is, not being in the same substratum. So this is opposition. Saha anavasthanam virodha iti chenna desha bhedena saha avasthanat. So if say opposition means existence and non-existence cannot exist together, if you are going to define in such a way, then this fails, because they can exist together. That is, existence of pot or pot and the non-existence of a pot can exist together. How is it possible? They can exist together in different places at the same time, or they can coexist in different times at the same place. So therefore, the non-coexistence cannot be the definition of opposition. Desha bhedena saha avasthanat. So Śrīharṣa says that desha bhedena, that is in different places at the same time, the existence of, the coexistence of pot and its non-existence are possible. Even in the same place, we sometimes accept both. That is, even in the same place. Desha, that means there are a few entities such as samyoga and etc., which can stay in the same place. That is, conjunction and the non-existence of conjunction can also stay in the same place. So therefore, then if to revive this, to rectify the fallacy, if you say desha abhedena taditi chetu, if you say that opposition means, that is defined as non-coexistence in the same place, that is not coexisting in the same substratum, if you say, then the opposition of entities like pot and the non-existence of pot can be possible, because pot and its non-existence cannot coexist at the same place at the same time, in the same time. But there are a few entities, as I previously also said, like samyoga, that is conjunction. Sanyogad vyapakatvam yad abhyupaishi tathapyanupapatti avyapakatvam. That is, there can be a few things that are such as like samyoga. One is, so normally the classical example would be kapi sanyoga and tadabhava. That means there is a monkey on a tree, but monkey is on the upper part of the tree. So the conjunction of monkey and the tree is existing only in the upper part of the tree and not at the lower part of the tree. So therefore, tree, if we take the tree to be the common substratum for conjunction of the monkey, then it is existing at the upper part, but at the in the same substratum, that is the tree, the non-existence of the conjunction of the monkey is also there. So therefore, the non-coexistence of conjunction and its non-existence is not possible. It is possible. Sorry. I mean, it's not possible in the sense they both are existing in the same place. So therefore, the opposition, the definition of opposition has a avyapti here, because essentially we do not, we like the opposition of conjunction and its non-existence. That means pratiyogi and tadabhava, they both are opposite in nature. So they cannot be non-opposition between the entity and its non-existence. Any entity and its non-existence. So therefore, desha abhedena sahanavasthanam virodha. So this definition of opposition is also not possible. If you say how, a sub argument starts that prakara bhedena tatha bhavasyapyabhyupagamad, that is done, then tadhi tadubhaya avasthana sahitya nishedho va tadubhaya avasthana nishedha sahityam va syat. So the idea of not able to exist together, it will have two possible meanings. That is, tadubhaya avasthana sahitya nishedha. What do you mean by not being able to exist together? That means there can be one meaning, that is denying that both existence and non-existence can ever occur together. Existence and non-existence can ever occur together. This could be one meaning. Or denying that both can occur in the same place at the same time. So there are two propositions and both are not possible, because we have what you call where both, that is existence and non-existence, coexisting together is not at all possible, is one answer to it. So therefore it is not possible. Then comes the other thing that no, we do say that there is this example of shashavishanam, that is rabbit horn. So we say that Shashavishanam Nasti. So that is, the rabbit horn is not a possibility. So what does this mean? That can mean, so there will be two things, again a problem here, that non-existence of any entity is only possible if that particular entity is existing. That means the non-existence can only be possible if the counterpart of the non-existence is truly existing in this cosmos. So that means that the pratiyogi or the counter of the non-existence should be existing. In the example of Shashavishana, rabbit and horn both are existing independently, independently, but not together. So therefore, the expression there is no rabbit horn would mean that there is no horn in the rabbit. So therefore, the possibility of, or the existence of the counter of the non-existence is essential. Even in Kusumanjali, Udayanacharya says, abhāva virahatmatvam vastunah pratiyogita. That is, the counter object of the absence should always be something real, an established thing. Absence means the lack of such real thing. So there cannot be an absence of which is not existing at all, of an entity which is not at all existing in this cosmos. And even Vachaspati Mishra also says, Labdharupam kvachit kinchit tadrigeva nishidhyate vidhana mantarenato na nishedhasya sambhava. So therefore, absence is only possible about something that already has a known form. Without affirming the something first, denial makes no sense. So therefore, this definition of saha anavasthanam is is of no use. Then there comes paraspara pratikshepakatvam virodha. So they come up with another definition of opposition. Paraspara pratikshepakatvam. That is mutual cancellation. Opposition means, or is defined as, mutual cancellation. Paraspara pratikshepakatvam. That is, if one is there, this means that it is cancelling the existence of the opposite. If there is pot, that is cancelling the existence of the non-existence of the pot. So then again, the word pratikshepakatvam, what does that mean? Pratikshepakatvam can mean pratikshepa janakatvam. That is, pratikshepa is cancelling, causing the causal entity which is causing the cancellation. Do you mean that as pratikshepaka? If you say so, then that is also very hard to prove. Pramana abhavena tathavita tatkaryatva karya anangikarat nahi ghatena swabhava lakshanam karyam swabhava lakshanam karyam janyate nava tadabhavena ghata ityartha. So if you say that the virodhi, the opposing entity would cause or would cancel the existence of its opposite entity, that is, ghata or a pot will cause the non-existence of the non-existence of pot, then this is something that is not at all possible, because a pot is not creating its non-existence, neither the non-existence of the pot is creating the pot. So therefore, this causal cancellation is something that is not a possibility, that cannot be proven. If you say the existence of pot itself means the non-existence of the non-existence of the pot, tadatmyam, that is identical in nature. This is identical in nature, that the existence of pot itself is proving the non-existence of the pot. That means then existence would be absence, because how are you defining a pot to be? Pot means it is not an existing entity, but it is the non-existence of the pot. So then existence would mean absence. And if it means existence, then absence would mean existence. So then whatever has to be a bhāva padartha, that will become an abhāva padartha, and whatever is experienced to be an abhāva padartha, it will become a bhāva padartha. So therefore, even this definition of opposition or virodha is not a possibility. Then comes another definition. Yatra ekasya sattvam tatra aparasya asattvam niyamena. So what does this mean is, wherever one exists, there the other necessarily do not exist. This is a bit easy to understand. In whichever place the pot exists, then in the same place, in the same time, the other, that is the non-existence of the pot, necessarily does not exist. This can be something which is comprehensible. This again fails, because if you use, different kala or different entity like sanyoga, again, that will again have a problem here. And not only that, there is a deeper explanation also given, that existence and non-existence do not share the same substratum. So if at all there is a possibility of coexistence of existence and non-existence, then you can say that the contrary to this is opposition. But if we try to examine, the existence of pot depends on the pot itself. So therefore, the bhāva padartha's existence is dependent on the bhāva padartha. So if a pot has to existence, you need a pot. So therefore, the existence of a pot is dependent on pot. And in other, the oppositing entity, that is the non-existence of a pot, essentially would depend on the adhara, that is the substratum of the non-existence. If you say that the pot is not there, then the question would be where it is not there, right? Not there also would mean that it is not there at a particular place. So abhāva is sadhikarana. So it has to have a substratum to it. Without a substratum or a locus, there cannot be a non-existence. So therefore, existence is depending on the entity which is existing, and non-existence is depending on the ground or substratum in which it is existing. So therefore, existence and non-existent existence don't actually meet or confront each other directly. So this is their svabhava. So they are like two people talking past each other. The existence is in the pot, while the absence is in the table or on the table. So therefore, how can things be opposite if they don't even share the same location or substratum? So therefore, this yatra ekasya sattvam tatra aparasya asattvam niyamena, this also is not cannot be the opposition, the lakshana or definition of virodha. Then comes the other the next or the last thing that I have taken, the definition, that yatra ekasya sattvam tatra aparasya asattvam niyamena yat sa virodha. That means where one existence is present, there only that and not the absence exists. Yatra ekasya sattvam, where there is pot, there niyamena, without any doubt, aparasya asattvam, the non-existence of the contrary, is also there, right? So this is essentially virodha. So if there is pot, that means that there is no absence of the pot, right? This is Virodha. Then what happens is, where there is pot, this would mean there is pot. Where there is no pot, there is no pot. So this is how the expression will change. Why? Because when you are saying there is pot, that means that there is the absence of the non-existence of the pot. That means wherever there is ghata, there is abhāva of ghata abhāva. There is no non-existence of the pot. So essentially, the non-existence of the pot would mean pot. Dvitiya bhava pratiyogi swarupaha. This is what we say, right? What do you mean by there is no non-existence of the pot? It means that there is pot. So therefore, if I say that there is pot, then it will essentially be that where there is pot, there is pot. So this is so, what do we mean by where there is pot? There is no absence of the non-existence of the pot. Essentially, it would mean that where there is pot, there is pot. Similarly, if I have to say where there is the non-existence of the pot, there we have to say that the non-existence of the pot is, again, we have to say that there is, where there is the non-existence of the pot, there is no pot, right? Where there is the non-existence of the pot, there is no pot. What does this mean? Where there is no pot, there is no pot. So this doesn't make any sense. This is just nothing but paunaruptya, repetition, tautology. So there is nothing that you are newly actually emphasizing or, you are establishing anything. So in this way, around 4 or 5 definitions were proposed and were also refuted by Śrīharṣa. And there is a lot of, afterwards also there is a lot of things, but I've taken only a few examples. So to be precise and a bit clear, not to overwhelm. And at the end, there is one beautiful thing that we find in Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya, that Śrīharṣa essentially, obviously, we all know that, from the morning we've been hearing, this is to show that pure logic or pure critical analysis would lead nowhere, will lead to nowhere unless you, you surrender yourself to the Parabrahman. So he gives another, a very interesting insight here, that evam prakarena tattalakshaneshu khandaniyani uhani. So this is just an example that I have taken. The whole Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya is just an example to show how to refute anything by examining its definitions. Tadetasu khandana yuktishu kamapi sthanantarastham kenapi prakareణ aniye tat sadrishim anyam va swayamuhitva parair vivacyamanani padarthantaranyapि buddhimata badhaniyani. So this is how, whatever is against Advaita, you need to take all of that, you need to examine all the definitions based on which they are actually establishing their abhimata, and again you have to refute them in the similar manner. Atra cha asmabhir dushayitum shankitebhyah parapaksha prakarebhyah yadi prakarantaram kopi swayamuhati uktanam badhakanam madhye kvachit prajnaya samadhanam abhidadhyat. So if at all, if some of the pratipakshi comes and tries to counter us and also establishes his own opinion, then we need to and tatra khandana-vadina prastuta pratikriyana spure. If at all the person who is actually refuting is not able to find any tarka or yukti or any kind of a method in which he can actually refute his opponent, then what should he do? Tada parena prayujyamane vakye bahupadatmake kasyachit padasya artham khandayitum khandana-antaram avataraniyam. So you take a particular sentence or an expression from the opponent which has many words in it, and take one word from that particular many-worded sentence and then start refuting that. So this is how you need to hone your skill of refutation. Refutation is what Śrīharṣa actually elucidates, and this is a very wonderful work, and I would once again thank Indic Academy for giving me this opportunity. Yadatra saušthavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi, yadatra saušthavam kinchit tan mamaiva me guroho. If there is any positive thing that is there in my presentation, those belong to my gurus, and if there are any shortcomings, those belong to myself and not my gurus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Srinivas ji, for a wonderful presentation. It kind of was very suitable to this as the concluding session of this symposium. Thank you very much for making time for this session. We're very grateful. So we come to the conclusion of this wonderful symposium, a very important work by Śrīharṣa, Khaṇḍana-khaṇḍa-khādya, a great work on Vittanda, a great work on refutations, how through refutation also can be used as a means to discover truth, even when you're only refuting the opponents. So I think that is a takeaway. I think this symposium would inspire a generation of scholars, young scholars, to take up this whole Khaṇḍana to a new level, especially to develop Shatrubodha, to do the refutation of the ideologies, arguments, the philosophical schools that have developed in the contemporary times and which have critiqued our Vaidika Darshana. So I think it is high time that a Khaṇḍana, a thorough Khaṇḍana of those positions are also needed. And I'm hopeful this symposium will be inspiring to all of them to know how deeply our ancestors, the great acharyas of the past, had dwelt into our own philosophy as well as the opponent's position and did a very detailed, thorough refutation. So this should be a great inspiration. On this note, as I conclude, I thank all the speakers, all the Vidwans and Acharyas who made time for this symposium. We are very grateful to you. I also thank my team, Srinivas, Kotiye, and others in my team. I'm very thankful to our Kulupati Garu, Shri Dr. Nagaraj Paturi ji, who is providing the great force, great advice as a mentor and as the scholar to whom we all approach whenever we have any doubts and for clarification and for guidance. I'm thankful to you, sir. I'm also thankful to Shri Harikiran Vadlamani, our founder, who has made all of this possible. So with this, I conclude the session. Thank you very much. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to know about our upcoming events. Thank you. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.